Okay, let's talk about the biggest and maybe the most volatile partnership in all of AI, Microsoft and OpenAI. You've probably heard they just called a truce in what's basically a multi-billion-dollar Cold War. But what does that really mean? Well, today we're going to unpack this whole thing. It's a wild story of ambition, rivalry, and really the future of technology itself. So that really is the big question, isn't it? Friends, foes, or frenemies? Are they working together to push AI into the future, or are they just locked in this epic battle for dominance? The answer, as you can probably guess, is, well, it's not simple. And to understand it, we've got to start with this brand new, and I mean very fragile agreement they just made. All right, first up, a tense truce. This is all about the latest news, this new deal that honestly is not nearly as friendly as it might sound on the surface. So after a really tough summer of negotiations, the two sides reached what insiders are calling a détente, and that's the perfect word for it. Don't think of this as them making up and becoming best friends again. No way. This is much more like a truce between two armies on a battlefield. It's a temporary pause in the fighting, not a permanent peace treaty. And you can see just how fractured this partnership had become. I mean, it got so bad that OpenAI was apparently thinking about going to antitrust regulators for help. They felt like Microsoft had them in a stranglehold because Microsoft is their exclusive cloud provider. And as that trust just completely fell apart, OpenAI started holding back its latest tech. And this was happening right at the same time Microsoft was building its own AI lab to compete with them directly. So yeah, this stopped being a partnership a long time ago. It basically became an arms race. Which leads to the next big question. How on earth did it get this bad? Let's take a look at how they went from partners to rivals. You really have to understand this backstory to get why this new truce is such a big deal. Okay, so let's walk through the timeline. It all started back in 2019. Microsoft jumps in with a huge investment, becoming this really key partner for OpenAI. Everything seems great. Then fast forward to 2022, and boom, ChatGPT just explodes onto the scene. Its success was so massive, so fast, it honestly caught everyone off guard, including Microsoft. But the real earthquake hit in November 2023. You remember this, when Sam Altman was fired and then rehired in a matter of days. That whole chaotic episode just shattered all the trust and made Microsoft realize, whoa, we are super exposed here. And what was their response? By 2024, they launched their very own in-house AI lab, a direct competitor. And that's what set the stage for the incredibly tense negotiations this past summer. All right, this next part is fascinating. What was the real reason OpenAI was even at the negotiating table? Sure, they wanted to loosen Microsoft's grip, but the bigger story, it's about a desperate, multi-billion-dollar pivot OpenAI is trying to pull off by changing its entire corporate structure. So you have to understand, OpenAI has this really weird corporate structure. It's not a normal company. It's technically a capped profit business that's controlled by a nonprofit parent company. What does that mean? Well, instead of giving out stock like a regular company, it issues something called profit-sharing units. The bottom line is, this setup makes it pretty much impossible to go public with an IPO. And for its investors, this is, let's just say, super frustrating. This unique structure that was once its mission is now holding it back, and they are in an absolute sprint to change it. And when I say it's a sprint, I am not kidding. Look at this number, $19 billion. That is how much venture capital funding OpenAI could literally lose if it doesn't figure out how to restructure into a normal for-profit company by the end of this year. The clock is ticking, and the pressure is just immense. But then you flip the coin, and you see this number, $100 billion. That's the mind-boggling valuation of the stake that the original nonprofit part of OpenAI is set to get in the new for-profit company. If this goes through, it would instantly create one of the biggest charities in the world, at least on paper. Just an insane amount of money. So, what would this new company actually look like? Well, here's the proposed ownership breakdown. Take a look at this. Microsoft would have about 30%, the OpenAI nonprofit also about 30%, and the rest, around 40%, would go to employees and other investors. The big takeaway here is just how deeply Microsoft is still woven into the fabric of OpenAI's future, no matter how tense things get between them. But, and this is a big but, This whole plan is not just sailing through, oh no. They are facing a wall of opposition. You've got state attorneys general looking into whether this even violates charitable law. You've got lawsuits from people like Elon Musk. Competitors like Meta are, of course, pushing back hard. Basically, everyone is watching this thing, and a whole lot of powerful people are trying to stop it in its tracks. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. With billions of dollars on the line and that ticking clock, what were these two giants actually arguing about behind closed doors? And maybe more importantly, how is Microsoft playing its cards to make sure it wins, with or without OpenAI? You know, one of the most incredible details that leaked from these negotiations sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. So in their original contract, Microsoft would lose its exclusive access to OpenAI's tech once they created what's called Artificial General Intelligence, or AGI. Think human-level intelligence. But in these new talks, Microsoft apparently tried to move the goalposts. They wanted to change that threshold to artificial superintelligence, or ASI, a level of intelligence so far beyond human that we might never even reach it. The implication here is pretty obvious, right? Microsoft is trying to lock in its exclusive access for as long as humanly or non-humanly possible. Okay, so why should any of us care about all this high-level corporate drama? Well, it's simple. This battle in the boardroom directly impacts the AI tools that literally millions of us are using every single day. The future of Microsoft Copilot, the next version of ChatGPT, what they can do, how powerful they are, all of that is being decided right now in these tense negotiations. But here's the thing you have to realize about Microsoft. They are absolutely not putting all their eggs in the OpenAI basket. Not even close. They are hedging their bets like crazy. I mean, look at this. Yeah, OpenAI is still a huge partner, powering a lot of Copilot. But they're also using a key rival, Anthropic, to power new tools in Microsoft 365. They're hosting Elon Musk's XAI on their cloud, and as we talked about, they're building their own models in-house as a backup. What they're doing is building an entire AI portfolio to make sure they dominate the future of AI, whether OpenAI is their best friend or their biggest competitor. So, let's wrap this all up. What's the bottom line here? What should we take away from this incredibly complex power play between the two biggest names in the entire AI boom? The most crucial thing to understand is this. This deal isn't a final alliance. It's not a peace treaty. What we're watching is a temporary truce in an ongoing high-stakes chess match for total control over the future of artificial intelligence. Both Microsoft and OpenAI just made their latest move on the board, but trust me, this game is nowhere near over. And that really leaves us with the big final question, doesn't it? In this new world of AI frenemies, who do you think actually has the upper hand? Is it the disruptive startup, OpenAI, that's desperately trying to break free and control its own destiny? Or is it the tech giant Microsoft, the one that controls the infrastructure and is smartly hedging all its bets? It's going to be fascinating to watch what happens next. Thanks for tuning in.